you believe that companies should start reporting staff who refuse to go back to work? We're going to be hearing in a moment how this has become a major problem here in Ireland, with 1 in 5 companies reopen, 1 in 5 restaurants and bars reopen. They are finding it extremely difficult to get their staff back to work. And I'm going to be talking to Adrian Cummins, who represents restaurants and pubs and bars and everything else, about how big a problem this has become. And this is the bottom line is that unless companies actually pick up the phone and ring revenue and say, Jeremy won't come back to work, he was working here last year and he's refusing to come back to work, then we have a major problem, because the companies can't get staff back to work. 085 825 2626 is our WhatsApp number, and we would love to hear from you. I'm going to talk now, and in fact I spoke to him just a little bit earlier on, to Adrian Cummins from the Restaurants Association of Ireland, to explain how big a problem this is. And Adrian, good morning and welcome to Opinions Matter. Tell me how big a problem this is.
Well, at the moment it's one of the biggest problems for hospitality, for those businesses that are open. Obviously, not every hospitality business is open at the moment, so let's just break it down. Hotels are fully open, and then businesses like pubs and cafes and restaurants that have outdoor seating areas, they're open also. So that's about 1 in 5 businesses. And even at that, we have severe staff shortages at the moment, right across the board, not just for chefs, which we always had. Even before COVID, we had a huge chef shortage issue. Now it's right across: waiters, waitresses, managers, chefs, people working in the kitchen. So our entire industry now has a major issue coming down the tracks, and that will only get bigger as our sector starts to reopen fully.
So in terms of reopening, so the 1 in 5 places that have reopened, they ring their staff, they say they're reopening, and staff are just saying, no, I'm not interested.
So when they ring their staff, obviously some staff have left the industry, and we estimate about 20% of our workforce has left the industry, gone to other jobs, or gone back to their home countries and haven't returned to Ireland. And then of the remaining 80%, when they ring those, some people just don't want to come back to work or leave the PUP payment. Predominantly now it is younger people and those that are part-time workers or those that are students that may have had a job before this that are on the PUP payment and just won't come back to work. So we're trying to find staff at the moment, and we're finding it very difficult. And what I referred to in my tweet over the weekend was, if you take the hairdressers are fully open, retail is essentially fully open, and other construction is fully open. I don't understand why people that are still on PUP payment in those sectors, why did the government not just go, these are all those people that are on the PUP and within those sectors, that they should have been moved to the unemployment payment, or if they didn't take up gainful employment. And what we find now is we're ringing people to ask them to come back to work, and they just won't come back to work. And that is an issue.
So what would you like to see being done then? We have the PUP payment is going to last until at least September. Is it a case that if a sector is fully reopened, like retail, as you said, and somebody is on the PUP payment but not coming back to work, they should be just cut off?
Well, the Department of Social Protection are the ones that can do this, and they have people that inspect and ring and talk to people that are on these payments and find out, should they be on the payment or not. And also employers can refer people that they have offered full-time work to or offered work to and won't come off the PUP payment. They can be referred to social protection for further investigation. I mean, we don't want to go down that road, but we're being forced down that road because we just don't have enough staff. And what you're going to see now... So
sorry, are you saying that in the coming weeks it could be a case that if a staff member refuses to come back to work because they're on the PUP payment, that they will be reported?
I think that it won't be a blanket right across the board, but you will have employers that will do that. That is and Department of Social Protection have a process in place for that. But I feel that they need to ramp it up because, you know, it is the taxpayers' money at the end of the day. And if you have if a young person that is in college that is on the PUP payment and they've been offered a job for the summer and they won't take it up, I mean, that doesn't make any sense to me. That they're better off sitting at home claiming 350 or whatever they're claiming. I mean, that to me, there's no, you know, that's not where we should be in a country at the moment. We need to get people back to work so that we can start to rebuild our economy and our society. That's essentially what we need to do. And, you know, I just would see that, you know, the government have made this decision that they're not going to reduce the PUP payment up to September, and that will be a sliding scale until next February. And that's the decision the government has made. But there is a process in place there where employers can report people to social protection if they want to. And I just know from employers at the moment that they will do this. And what you will also see, Adrian, is that you'll see businesses that won't be able to operate 7 days a week. They'll only be able to operate 5 days a week or even 4 days a week because they just won't have enough staff. And that's what the employers or businesses are telling me now nearly every day of the week. And it's not just me. You can see it on social media where people have looking for staff, job vacancies all over the place.
One of the criticisms of the sector that you advocate for, restaurants, gastropubs, cafes, and one of the difficulties, I should imagine, in getting staff back is the poor rates of pay. What would you say to that?
Well, that has always been the argument for our industry over the last number of years. But when you benchmark the rates of pay in Ireland versus the rates of pay in other European countries, we pay extremely well. The cost of living in Ireland is where we have a high cost of living in Ireland, high rents. And from my perspective as an advocate for business, there's only so much you can pay. So we're not a charity. And if you pay more than you're able to afford, the business goes bust. That's essentially what happens. We're a high labour-intensive industry, and there's only a certain amount. We've only a certain percentage of that we can pay within our business, and that's, you know, we would like to pay more, but we can't afford to pay more. And I'm very clear on this. It's not what people want to hear, but that's what businesses will say to me and say to anybody. I can only pay X amount, and if I pay more than that, well then, you know, my business isn't viable. It's going out of business. And what I would like to see the government do is take all of those people that are on those pay rates, reduce their income tax level as much as possible, make it more, and let's deal with the whole issue. Like 10, 15 years ago, when back in the last recession, and I remember distinctly, the cost of rent back then was about half what it is at the moment. And this was down to the housing prices. So it's a vicious circle. And people just can't afford to live in Dublin. It is a very expensive city to live in. And obviously, you know, that is a big issue for not just in our sector, but right across both retail and other parts of the economy.
Adrian Cummins, thank you very much indeed for talking to us.
Thank you.
And we'd like to hear from you. Send us a WhatsApp voice note to 085 825 2626. As you could hear from Adrian Cummins, he's warning that business owners will start reporting on staff who refuse to come back to work. That's what he has said very clearly. And we'd like to find out from you, do you think they're right to report on staff who refuse to come back to work? Send us a WhatsApp voice note to 085 825 2626, like Brian just did.
Don't forget, all those receiving a PUP payment, there's a tax bill coming, so it would make a lot more sense to get off the PUP payments, as their upcoming tax bill is going to be less. If you're getting paid more than you were in the past, it's a very bad idea to keep taking it.
Because that is the truth. A tax bill is looming.
It's not money for nothing. You don't get anything for nothing in this world. To the person, Sylvia on Facebook, who says, what about the companies that aren't open yet? Sylvia, we're not talking about companies like that.
No. If the company isn't open and they can't take you back, well, then it doesn't apply to you.
Yes, this is purely a conversation about restaurants and cafes that are now open for outdoor dining. They've been packed all weekend. The one I went to was packed, and they will be open for indoor dining in 3 weeks' time. So you have business owners at the moment are running around on their phones trying to get staff members into their place who just won't go into work.
085 825 2626 is our WhatsApp number. We're talking about whether or not do you support companies reporting on somebody who refuses to come back to work? Should they pick up the phone and call revenue and say, I had a staff member called Jeremy. Jeremy is still receiving the PUP and he won't come back to work. 085 825 2626.
I mean, here's a message on our Facebook page from Michelle, and she says, why should I go back to work when I'm making more money on the PUP? If I went back to work, I'd have to pay for bus fare and I'd be less well off. It makes absolutely no sense.
085 825 2626. Send us a WhatsApp voice note, please, with your opinion on this. Should companies pick up the phone and call revenue and tell them that ex-staff member is refusing to come back to work? 085 825 2626. Now, Michelle, good morning to you.
How are you?
Good, thanks, Michelle. You're on Opinions Matter. Now, you are one of those people who hasn't gone back to work yet. Why?
Yeah, that was actually my message there.
Was it? Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah, so, I just, from my point of view, I don't see why an employer would squeal on their staff. It's not costing them anything. They're not paying them staff to sit at home. Do you know what I mean? So it's not coming out of their pocket.
Yeah, but their company is struggling because their company can't operate properly without full staff.
But at the same time, there are a load of people out there looking for work. So, kind of, if it were me, I'd be of the opinion that, if this person doesn't want to come back now, that's fine. I'll say nothing. But then when they do, they can sack off. I wouldn't go squealing on anyone. I work in I'm currently out of work, but I work in a restaurant. I'm employed in a restaurant in town. I wait on tables, and I am genuinely doing better on the PUP than I was doing with wages. Okay,
but is the place that you were working back open again?
Yeah, for outdoor dining. Okay,
and was it open, say, in the run-up to Christmas?
Yeah.
And did you go back to work before Christmas?
No.
No?
No.
And have your employers been on to you to get you back to work this time?
Yeah, they're flat out, and my boss has rang me a couple of times. Now, he kind of, my boss is sound enough, so I'm lucky. He's not putting pressure on me or anything like that. But from my point of view,
so have you said to him, "I'm better off on this PUP thing. Just leave me be"?
Not in so many words, but I'm just I basically said that I'm not in a position to return to work at the moment. I didn't go into it.
Right, okay. So I'm not. So you were working with this company. Let me find out how much. Yeah. What rate are you on the PUP?
300.
300. Okay. 300. And before all this kicked off last March, how much would you have been coming out with every week?
About the same. But the thing is that now I actually have more money because I'm not commuting. I'm not buying lunches. You're buying coffee. There's no when I be going into town, you wander into the shops, you're going for lunch, you're spending more money. Now I'm genuinely saving money on the PUP.
But that wasn't really what it was designed for, to enable you to fatten up your bank balance.
But if somebody like myself who has a child at home, and been given this opportunity is not going to come back. So why wouldn't you make the most of it while it's there?
Well, besides the fact that you're at home bored, are you not bored? Would you not prefer to be back at work?
Adrian, when I'm working, I'm working nights. I'm not home till all hours of the morning. This is genuinely a break at the moment for me. And
but it's a long old break. It's been going on since last March.
And I plan to use it for as long as I can. And I don't think that anybody listening would be okay, well, I'm going to actually go back to work and be down money just to go back to work. I don't think anybody would do that. Nobody is that honest. Nobody is that, I just don't think anybody in my situation wouldn't do the same, which is why there are so many people, which is why this is an issue, because people are thinking like me, why would you get up, go to work, come home knackered. When you have more money to be at home, I just
so
don't
when
understand how
when
this
will
is.
you go back to work? Is it you
Well,
will
it's
go
looking
back
like
to
the
work when
PUP
you're
is-
forced to, when you're made go back to
Yeah,
work, when you lose your PUP payment?
It looks like in September they're going to start reducing the PUP. So once I'm getting less than I would have been and work a significant amount less, that it's not, I'll have to go back. I'll have no choice. But for the moment, 300 a week is what I was making in the restaurant, and I've no outgoings with it. So,
Okay, so you've no intention of going back until the PUP is
No,
actually
not
cut.
yet. No, I'm actually, to be honest with you, I'm dreading cutting it. Dreading it.
But they are going to. We all know they are going to.
I know they have to. I know that this isn't a free for all, that we can always take this payment, but at the same time, I am dreading it, because I have had the best time over the last year with my child, that time I would have never gotten if it was, people give out about.
And look, I get all that, but that's not what the PUP was for. That's not what the PUP was, to keep people afloat who had lost their jobs through no fault of their own.
But I did lose my job through no fault of my own.
Yeah, no, I know that, and it was there to
I
support
didn't
you.
decide to become unemployed.
No, I understand that, and it was there at the start to support somebody like you who lost your job through no fault of your own because the government ordered restaurants to close down. But now, but hang on, but firstly, before Christmas, the restaurants reopened. You didn't go back to work then, is that right?
Yeah.
And now they're reopening, and the place that you were working in is reopened for outdoor dining and will be fully reopened in a couple of weeks' time. So let's say on the 5th of July, the place that you were working will be back operating as it was last March. Is that right?
Yeah.
But you're not going back to work?
And I know the place where I'm working. It's a fairly well-known place. I'm not going to say where it is, but they're out the door. There's literally people queuing for tables.
Okay, how would you feel then? Now, you say your boss is a decent bloke. How would you feel if he picked up the phone and called revenue and said, we had a waitress called Michelle and she's refusing to come back to work?
I feel so betrayed, because if I were an employer and I had somebody in my position who just wants, to spend a bit of time with their child, I'm getting better money, and I will be, once I'm back to work and this pub ends, that's it. It's gone. I'm never going to get this opportunity again.
Sorry, did you not have? Sorry, am I missing something here? You're talking about wanting to spend time with your children and all that. Did you not have maternity leave?
Yeah, obviously I have maternity leave, but
hang on, maternity leave is the time that's given for you to bond with your child. Did you not bond with your child?
And this is an extra gift of time that I wasn't expecting to have.
But that's not what the PUP is designed for, to give you an extra gift of time with your kids.
No, but if I were an employer, I would not squeal on someone. It's not going in my pocket. I'm not.
Okay, but let me ask you this question then. Are you concerned? I played a message there a couple of minutes ago from Brian, who's basically warning people on the PUP, people who stay on the PUP, that if you that you're facing a tax bill next year. Does that not worry you?
No, because you see, I'm very smart about it. The money I would have put on food and, that I was spending, I'm putting a little bit away every week.
Okay, so you will have money for a tax bill if and when it comes.
Oh, as I said, I'm saving money doing what I'm doing now. So I have a few quid put away. When the tax bill comes, that'll be sorted. I'm not worried about it.
Okay, stay there for 1 second. 085 825 2626 is our WhatsApp number. Do you think that employers should pick up the phone and call revenue and report somebody like her, actually, who is refusing to go back to work? Now, she says her boss is a decent skin and he probably won't do that. 085 825 2626 is our number. Angela, good morning to you.
Hi, Adrian. How are you?
Good, thanks, Angela. Angela, what's your reaction to the fact that restaurants and bars, the length and breadth of the country, are struggling to get staff back to work? People like that lady there a second ago.
Okay, can I first get you to correct one thing that you were saying? She didn't lose her job. Her job is there. Her job has always been there.
Yes.
Now, there are plenty of people out there who have lost their job. So I would like, just for this, that you were talking about people whose jobs are there and have been called. And it boils my blood that all she wants to do is sit on her backside. Because I just, whether you have children or not, you have the child before this, you spend time with the child then as well. I think that what every employer should do is, and should be made to, is give a list of everyone that they have offered their jobs back to. Now, if they've gone to a different job, that's different. But everyone that they have offered the jobs back to, and if they're refusing to come back to work, cut them off.
But the only way they will be cut off, as you say, is if companies actually let revenue know that I had an employee and that employee is not coming back to work.
Well, I think that's what should be done. Because, like my partner now, he works in a restaurant. And like that, they are screaming out for staff. Screaming. They've had to put staff from everywhere. They can't wait until leaving their students are 18 and after they're leaving there. Because people who are getting the same kind of money won't get off their backside and get back to work. My partner did it. Now, he didn't have to. They asked him because he worked there in the kitchen, so they were doing takeaway.
Okay, so you would be urging somebody like Michelle's boss to pick up the phone and call revenue and say Michelle is refusing to come back to work.
Absolutely, I think it should be mandatory. They should bring
Michelle, she's basically saying it should be mandatory. Your boss should be made to pick up the phone and call revenue.
Stop! Like that is just. Sorry, I didn't catch her name there, but that is pure spiteful. That's just such a spiteful, nearly a jealous attitude. You're like, how is it affecting you? That is not affecting your life. I'm doing. You get on with yours. You do you, and I'll do me. Like, do you know what I mean? It's that simple. I'm not harming you. I'm not doing anything to you. I'm simply taking an.
Well, if you didn't want this reaction. If you didn't want this reaction, don't come on the radio. You come on for people to talk about your business.
I just don't understand. Will never understand this. Oh, you should be reported. Like, it sounds like you're pure jealous that you're not getting the opportunity. And I think if you were given the opportunity, you would take it as well.
It's people like you. It is people like you, okay, and people that at the start of it, that were, working part-time and getting 350 quid for sitting on their backside, when they may have only got 90 quid for a weekend.
What is this sitting on your backside stuff about? This isn't going to last forever. Like, this isn't a decision to stop working. This is a decision to take an opportunity.
How do you know that?
That's all it is.
How do you know that? How do you know another strain isn't going to come out down the country?
Obviously.
Michelle, I have to ask you again. Okay, you're saying I don't want to go back to work yet. I'm getting my 300 a week on the PUP. Happy as Larry. I'm saving a few bob and everything else. Can you understand how that makes, firstly, employers very angry because they're trying to get their companies back up and running again, and because they can't get staff like you back to work, it's an issue. Can you understand why people are getting annoyed here?
I understand from an employer's point of view why it's frustrating. But I can't understand from somebody like that lady's point that you could up off your arse. Like, it doesn't affect her. Mind your own business. Do you know what I mean? From an employer's point of view, yes.
It will in the long term. It will in the long term because the country is in debt because of people like you. But the country is actually in debt. And you were saying, no, hold on a second. You were saying that, we'll be back in September. But you said, we'll be back in September. No, 1 second. You said, we'll be back in September. We were told March of 2020 that we'll be back after
in a couple of weeks. Yeah, that's right. Okay, so...
You know what? If we're not back in September, then great.
Okay, but you're expecting to have to go back to work in September because the PUP will be cut off.
Whenever the PUP stops, that's when I'll have to go back. Or whenever they start reducing it so significantly that it's not worth me while to take the PUP anymore and that I need to work, then I'll go back. But I don't think anybody would.
All she wants is her summer holidays to go off, have a nice time while everyone else is working their arse off for you.
Don't you? You do actually realise that the people who are furloughed, they're people who are actually working and paying taxes. This isn't somebody who's been on the dole all their life. I paid my taxes. I'm only taking back what I put in. Do you know what I mean? And I don't think
so. You put in 350 a week for over a year, have you?
No, but I've worked for many
years. We've all done that. We've all done that. Listen, girls, we have all done that. But we all don't have your attitude.
Hang on. The government
don't mind.
Why the hell wouldn't I mind doing it back?
What do you mean the government don't mind? Do you think this is an endless pot of money that's just been siphoned in your direction?
Listen to me. Right, I don't want to go down the whole road of the government and the shit show that they are. But they are. So do you know what? They don't mind screwing the people. So why wouldn't people screw them? I just don't get it. Like, obviously.
Well, you see, it's people with attitude. It is people with attitudes like you say, well, the person down the road is doing the social welfare.
Don't have a drink or something, seriously, because you're just making a show of yourself. Like, seriously, you don't think that most people would agree with me? Sorry, love, you're in the minority.
All right, stay there for 1 second, both of you. 085 825 2626 is our WhatsApp number if you want to react to what you are hearing. You're watching and listening to Opinions Matter with Adrian and Jeremy. And Sandra sent us this WhatsApp voice note.
Happy birthday, Jeremy. Surely if people are on the PUP, it's because they lost their jobs or their jobs are on hold because of COVID. If that job is now available to them, surely they're not entitled to it any longer.
And that's the point, and this is the argument here. And Michelle, it strikes me that if somebody like you is just point blank refusing to go back to work, your employer should be obliged to pick up the phone and call Revenue and tell Revenue that you haven't come back to work, even though your job is there for you. So can I just clarify again? Your job is there for you now. You could be working today.
But I'm going to turn this on its head, right? And I'm going to say, why should I feel bad for my employer when the industry I'm in, the employers don't give a shit enough about their staff to give them a decent wage? Why is it that I would be getting more on the social welfare than I'm getting in work? There's something very wrong there if that's the case. Then they need to either start paying their staff better. If you want your staff to come back to work, treat them like people and not like effectively.
Okay, but I could argue with you, if you're not happy with the rates of pay, then go and get a different type of job.
Well, it's hard when you've got experience in this for 10, 12 years, nearly 12 years.
All right, stay there for 1 second. 085 825 2626 is our number.
By the way, she's also assuming that when she does decide to go back to work, when she gets fed up with the kids or whatever at home and she wants to get out in the mornings again, she's assuming that job is going to be left for her. Nobody is going to keep a job open-ended and say, oh, Michelle is ready to go back to work now. Here's the job. It's all waiting for you. That job will not be waiting for you when you do decide that you want to get up off your arse and return to work. It's not going to be there.
Don't care. Worry about that later.
All right, 085 825 2626 is our WhatsApp number if you want to get involved in this conversation. Kevin sent us this WhatsApp voice note.
Morning, Adrian and Jeremy. How you doing? It's Kev here. Look, anybody who works in any of these industries will tell you the markup on the sale of food and the sale of clothing have the biggest markups in Ireland. Fact. No getting around it. Fact. So, yes, employers do have the ability to pay people a living wage, but because they've never been forced into this situation before, someone would sooner go bust than actually pay a living wage, right? If they give people a Christmas bonus, you think they're God's gift, right? And should be bowed down to, right? So no, it's not acceptable. It's about time people had this opportunity to put their bosses to hands and say, you want me, you're going to have to up the ante. It's that simple, right? Because if this hadn't happened, they will continually go on with minimum contracts, minimum wage, and that's it. So, just one last note. I just hope everybody remembers all that PUP money. It's still taxable to universal charges and PRSI. So I hope people are squirreling a bit of money away because they will come looking for it. Anyway, have a good one.
All right, thanks very much indeed, Kevin. 085 825 2626 is our WhatsApp number.
By the way, Kevin has no idea. Kevin, it's easy knowing that you've never ran a business because you haven't got a clue what you're talking about small restaurant owners and the amount of bills they have to pay, the rent they pay on their premises, they have to pay water rates. I
know, but people working for them have to live as well.
Absolutely. Nobody is saying they don't have to do, but you cannot. And how do we get this into people's heads? You cannot pay a member of waiting staff €25 an hour or 50.
No, nobody's suggesting €25 an hour. No. What a lot of people are saying is that this is proof that wages in the sector just aren't good enough, and they should at least be paying the living wage. And the living wage is, what is it, 12 something an hour?
It is $12.30 an hour.
So that's not dramatically higher than the minimum wage as it currently
Which is
stands.
€10.20. So you're talking about €2. But waiting staff also get tips as well. Geez, I used to.
Yeah, but you can't live off tips.
Tips are tax free. Nobody declares
Well,
tips.
not officially, they're not.
Who declares their tips?
Depends on what way they're collected by the company. But anyway, Stephen, good morning to you. You're on Opinions Matter. How are you?
How's it going?
Good, thank you. What's your reaction to this? Should employers pick up the phone and report on somebody who is not returning to work?
Yeah, I do. 100%. I just think it's. I'm probably going to be hit bad here, but I just think it's just the typical lazy Irish. I'm Irish, and I'm actually embarrassed to hear people on the radio here. I'm underpaid as it is as a bus driver, and I'm just doing it because I know the country eventually will get back on its feet, and we will be able to get our money back eventually. But like I see my boss, like he's pulling his hair every day, trying to figure out how is he going to make the next bit of money, and like I totally understand where he's coming from. So I'm happy to go on less money to keep companies running. Like I just hate this typical lazy crap, like where they get a taste of money and they get a taste of sitting around doing nothing at home. I hate that. I can't stand it. It's actually embarrassed to hear the Irish go on the way there.
But if it's a case that a staff member is better off at home on the PUP, why would they go back to work?
I don't know. I just, like, me personally, I would prefer to go back to work because it's for my mental state.
Yeah, and it's something that I actually said to that girl, Michelle, a while ago. She's had a year and 4 months of a break. I think most people are dying to get back to work.
Yeah, but I love being at work. I don't care how bad I'm getting screwed with the wages. I don't care. I hate sitting around the house thinking about this and that. Some people love it, some people don't. I can't. I like to be up early in the morning on the road. Don't care what wage I'm on, as long as you're doing something.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And I would feel the same way. I couldn't sit at home, to be honest with you. I have to get up. I have to get out. The thoughts of just hanging around the house all day would absolutely wreck my head. So do you believe, and this is the question that we're asking today, do you believe somebody like Michelle's employer that we were talking to a while ago, do you believe her boss should pick up the phone and call revenue and say Michelle is not coming back to work?
Yeah, absolutely. Immediately. 100%.
All right. Good man. Great to talk to you, Stephen. Thanks very much indeed. 085 825 2626 is our WhatsApp number. We'd like to get you involved in this conversation. This is a WhatsApp voice note from Dave.
Morning, Adrian. Will you just ask that girl there, what's she going to do when she does have to go back to work and she has to pay back this big, huge tax bill at the end of it? She's going to be paying back the tax bill on top of her having less wages. She's not really thinking this through, is she?
All right. 085 825 2626 is our WhatsApp number. We'd love to hear from you and find out whether or not you think an employer should pick up the phone and inform on somebody. This is Chris.
Hey, guys. I'm an out-of-work musician, and I can't believe these people that don't want to go back to work. I just really feel throughout the pandemic, if you really liked your job and you couldn't go in, and you'd hear people out and about, my friends or whatever, and they'd say, oh, I liked the first lockdown, sure, I hate going into work anyway, or I'm always going to work at home, and I kind of go, okay, that's reasonable enough. But then when I hear people who just don't want to go back into work because they don't like their job, it's like, do you realize that's not that, like, you chose that career, And it just seems if you liked your job, you're suffering, and if you didn't like your job, you can get away with the PUP. Thanks a million, Chris and Swords.
All right, Chris, thanks very much indeed. We'll squeeze in another couple of calls. If you want to get involved in this conversation, call us on 085 825 2626. Now, Sinead, good morning to you. Hello, Sinead. Oh, there she is now. Have we got you now, Sinead? Yeah, I pressed the right button there. How are you getting on?
Good. And yourself?
Good, thanks, Sinead. Excuse me. What's your reaction to what you've been hearing? And you heard the Restaurants Association saying they're really struggling with this. They're having an awful time trying to get some staff back to work. Do you think that employers should be picking up the phone, calling Revenue and telling Revenue we can't get this staff member back to work again?
Look, I think, it's a difficult one. I think it depends where you are, what you're doing. I know it must be very, very difficult for any employer to turn around and say, Patricia, John, whoever, isn't coming back to work. And that has to be a difficult one because whatever they're doing on a different staff situation. But to hear that lady turn around and just go, well, I'm not going to bother coming back to work because I can sit.
She's not the only one, by the way. She's not the only one. You heard the Restaurants Association saying it's a major problem for them.
So many people not going back. You see it everywhere. You hear it. They're just not going back because they can sit at home and not do it. And yet there's a huge amount of us still work through the pandemic behind closed doors, even in the hospitality industry, have taken pay cuts to do it, to keep things rolling, to keep things doing it. I know I did it myself. And my employers down here in Sligo fed 100 people a day through the first lockdown for free to keep people indoors and vulnerable. You know, there was a lot of good that went on, but the staff supported them by working for free as well. But then you see the other side of it, of people who just don't bother because that's not fair. That's not right. So they should, if they're actually speaking out, then it's different if there's reasons. Maybe they've kids to mind. Maybe it doesn't suit them. Maybe it's because of a vulnerability. Then you understand it a little bit until they're vaccinated. Okay, that's okay. You can understand it. But when they're saying, but I'm getting less on social, so why would I bother? It's not, as the other man said, it's not a charity. My daughter is pregnant. She's going to get less now on maternity benefit.
Yes.
But that's a totally different kettle of fish. It's not a charity.
Okay, so do you think, and it's something that we have spoken about before, do you think that employers should be forced actually to pick up the phone and tell Revenue that I can't get X staff member back to work again?
Do you know what? I think employers were at one point, I think they were working with employees and going, look, I understand in this situation, that situation, and maybe I'm wrong, I don't know, but maybe they're going to be forced, their hands might be forced in one stage because they are struggling to get employees back. But how good are these employees at the end of the day if they're being lazy sitting at home? Do you know what I mean?
True. All right.
That's what I'm starting to think.
Yep. All right, Sinead, great to talk to you. Thanks very much indeed.
Great show as always, guys.
Thank you very much. You're very kind. Thank you. 085 825 2626 is our WhatsApp number. We have a few more voice notes to play. This is Tom.
I'm hearing a lot of hypocrisy from Michelle. Michelle sounds like the type to be on Facebook on a social media account saying, I support local business and I'm buying fresh and I'm buying, all the nice stuff in local business to keep them going. Yet she is starving her own employer and the business she works for of cash, of their money, because they have to fork out extra work, or else the workers that she's supposed to be working with are working her tasks. Also, she says that it doesn't affect her, it doesn't affect other people for being on PUP. Yes, it does, because other people are paying the PUP. The taxpayers are paying it. So that affects the taxpayer, which, of course, is almost everyone in the country. Not everyone, but almost everyone. Otherwise, we wouldn't have a decent state. So just a lot of hypocrisy. Well done, Michelle.
All right, thanks very much indeed. 085 825 2626 is our WhatsApp number. Ashley is tuned into the programme in Wales.
Morning, lads. Just wondering, let's just say now, for argument's sake, a restaurant manager's to find someone to go to work and replace the person that can't be bothered going back to work. And then the employer phones that person up and say, listen, we found someone else to replace you. You're no longer needed. Goodbye, you're sacked, basically. Well, that person then, the person who can't be asked going back to work, can they actually claim unfair dismissal That'd be absolutely ridiculous if they can. And also, if they refuse to go back to work when they're getting paid the PUP, surely that should be coming out of their annual leave or something like that. Anyway, just a thought. Thanks, lads.
All right, Ashley, thanks very much indeed. We'll squeeze in a couple more. This is Stephen.
Adrian, you need to tell your woman there to get out of the cupboard, because wherever she's hiding there and she's muffling away there, you can barely hear her. She needs to get out of the cupboard. And you just need to tell her job. Her job, she won't be there. She'll just be sacked. She'll just be sacked.
All right, thanks very much. What does he mean, get out of the cupboard?
I don't know. She'll be sacked.
And finally, this is a WhatsApp voice note from Aaron.
I think companies should be reporting their staff. Look, if your job's there, go back to work. The country is never going to get back on its feet if people like Michelle is going to say, no, I'm not going back till PUP's over. That's September. She's got a child. Look, I'm on social welfare and I've got a child at the moment. I am absolutely hanging around for a job. I have asked 4 or 5 of my friends to put in a word for me. I've thrown in loads of CVs. I am hanging out for a job. Like, look, don't get me wrong. Look, I know things are expensive and livable wage is 12.30, not 10.20. But at the end of the day, your employers are only obligated to pay 10.20. If you want more, go get it. Like, honestly, it's that plain and simple. If you want to earn more money, go get better money. Go look for a job that pays better. Like, you don't have to stay where you are. And it's the same, like my mother always reminds me, it's way easier to get a job when you're in a job. So she goes back to work, there's nothing stopping her from CVing around the place and getting something that pays maybe €11 an hour. And then there you go, like. But I do think she's definitely lazy, not going back to work, 100%. It's nothing but laziness that she's not going back to work.
All right, thank you very much indeed, Aaron.